What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. The absolute best inexpensive chainsaw on the market, and I'm going to tell you why. Am I talking about this beast right here? This Husqvarna 455 Rancher, 20-inch farm tough? No, this is one of the best pricey chainsaws you can buy. I got this summer for 400 bucks. And it has proven to be well worth the money. Finally broke down and got it because I'm going to show you what I've been using for years. This is, without doubt, in my opinion, the best inexpensive chainsaw on the market. It's a Pull & Pro. This one happens to be have an 18-inch bar on it. Now, here's the story. So, for years, all I would use were these Pull & Pros because, I didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of excess cash. I don't like to go into debt. I like to buy things, pay for them as I go, so I never owe. But the thing is, when I had a job to do, like cutting firewood, cutting trees, and, couldn't afford that $400 saw because I have a family and the other responsibilities come first. I didn't want to put it on a credit card and pay for it twice after interest and all those things. I would buy what I could afford, which was a Pull & Pro, and I would get the job done. Never had a problem with that. And I used to make a lot of videos showing, cutting with the Pull & Pro, and the people would come, oh, you need a Husqvarna and blah, blah, blah. You need this, you need that. Yesterday morning, and I'm going to show you here in just a second, was proof yet again that it's a poor musician who blames his instrument. This past spring, actually had a giant pine tree fall in our yard, 80 feet tall, probably 12 to 15 feet around in circumference, and then it forked 4 ways. So it was really like I needed to cut up 4 pine trees once you got up past about 8 feet where it forked out 4 ways, and I knew that was just too much work for the Pull & Pro. We have been very blessed, especially in the last couple of years, thanks to viewers like you. And I was able to go out and get the Husqvarna 455 Rancher without a problem. Pay cash, not even notice that the 400 bucks was gone. And I was pleasantly surprised. It is the Cadillac of saws. I have no complaints. I used it to cut up that tree. I've been using it to cut up some really big logs. There's some huge logs over here, 36 inches in diameter back here behind me I've been working on. So I finally needed some new chains though. I'd sharpened the one that was on this one over and over, and it's done a lot of work, but it's been stretched out. So I put in an order for some chains. They haven't come yet. So yesterday I was here at home, and this older gentleman, he's probably 70-ish, comes up the driveway, and he lives just a few miles down the road from me. I'd never met him, but I'd know who he is. I'd see him when I'm out biking in the mornings or running past his house a lot. Well, the guy, he has a firewood business. He's 70 years old. He still gets out there, cuts down trees, cuts up the logs into lengths, splits the firewood, stacks it, dries it, and pretty much like everybody that lives out where I live gets their firewood from this guy. He's making money doing firewood, okay, with his firewood business. So he comes up the drive yesterday, and it's obvious he can tell that I cut and stacked my own firewood. And he says, I got a flatbed dump truck full of white oak logs with a couple hickory logs on it. This one's here on top. These are hickories. He says, I sell them to you for 100 bucks. I hadn't even seen the wood yet because he came up in his little pickup truck. Well, I instantly said, yeah, sure, okay. And I don't need them. I've got enough firewood to cut and stuff to last me the next 3 or 4 years. But I said yes because I could appreciate his effort. Here's a man, 70 years old, who I do have reason to believe probably doesn't need to work if he didn't want to. But he's out there still beating the bushes, trying to drum up business, and he knew he couldn't sell me, and he sells his firewood lowest price around here. We're in an expensive place, Albemarle County, Virginia, right outside of Charlottesville. Firewood goes for $175 a truckload out here. He sells it for $75. I mean, he's got the best deal. So anyway, I said yes because I completely appreciated his work ethic. He's 70, doesn't have to work, but he's got a work ethic. He feeds it by working with it, and he's still going out there and beating the bushes. So he brought me the logs, dumped them off, and I said, man, I wish that those chains for this Husqvarna had come in. I'd get out there and cut those logs. Then I thought, wait a minute, you still have that Pull & Pro that, and I haven't started this for 2 years until yesterday morning. Because last year I didn't need to saw any logs because I'd split and stacked so much wood the year before that. I had enough to get through almost 2 winters. And then, of course, this summer I had the Husqvarna, and I've been using the Husqvarna on some of this bigger stuff for firewood. And I thought, well, will that thing even start? I brought it out here yesterday morning, and sure enough, that thing, I mean, I had to pull on it a little bit. And there's that joke, yeah, they call it the pulling because you have to pull on it so much. I've never found that to be the case. Started right up. I sawed through half these logs in no time. And again, like I said, more proof that it's a poor musician that blames his instrument. Is the Husqvarna 455 Rancher a better saw? Absolutely, without a doubt. The biggest benefit to that saw, as I see it, is that with proper maintenance and care, more than likely that is the last chainsaw I will ever have to buy. Okay, the disadvantage to the Pull & Pros is that as much as I use them, as hard as I use them, I would have to replace them about every 4 years because they just get all ragged out. That's what we called it in Appalachia. I don't know what people call it anywhere else. Ragged out pretty much means the engine just kind of gets shot. But it's a $120 saw versus a $400 saw. So you're looking at 3.5 of those. You're looking at 15 years worth of use for the same price. Again, no, it's lifetime. Husqvarna, I get that. I appreciate it. But this message is for the person who maybe is in the position I was in for a number of years. They just don't have the extra cash laying around to spend $400 on a saw. They don't want to go into debt to spend $400 on a saw, but they can part with 120. Part with 120 and get the Pull & Pro 18-incher. And I'm going to show you, by way of example, the proof in the pudding, that this little 18-inch Pull & Pro, which I have not started since yesterday, since I was out here doing this yesterday, and yesterday again being the first time in 2 years I'd used it, I'm going to show you that if you're willing to do the work and your resources are limited, like Teddy Roosevelt said, do the best with what you have. If you only got enough money to go buy a Pull & Pro, don't put it off. Go buy a Pull & Pro. And this is not a sponsored video. I'm not being paid by Husqvarna or Pull & or anybody else except Google AdSense. Again, hadn't used it in 2 years. Started right up yesterday. I choked it today, pulled once with the choke on, turned the choke off, started right up after that. Now watch it work. Alright, that was hickory, which is pretty much rock hard. Now I'm going to cut some white oak. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're willing to work and your resources are limited and you've got trees you need to cut up or you've got firewood you want to cut up and split, in my humble opinion, as a man who's used them for many, many years and now has the luxury of using a Husqvarna, the best chainsaw, the best inexpensive chainsaw you can buy is the Pull & Pro. Don't let finances be your excuse. Instead of making an excuse like a loser, be like a winner and make a way to make it work and go out and get yourself a Pull & Pro. See you next time for more.